All right, let's move to VT Corner, fellas. We got some bowl game news via Andy Bitter. Sean Quinn will be calling the plays. I wasn't entirely sure if Chris Marv was completely gone or still hanging around and maybe going to, play out his last game, but that's not what's happening. Sean Quinn is going to call the plays, and we got the news that Bud Foster is going to be in the booth, Sam. What do you think about that?
Sure. Why not?
It's cool, right? I mean, it's kind of cool.
I mean, yeah, like he's got nothing better to do, I guess. No, I think this is an instance where they want him involved in this program pretty heavily as an advisor. Now, whether that's an advisor on the sidelines or in the box, like we've seen with Jerry Kill at Vanderbilt, or if that's an advisor in the back office, which is kind of what he's been the last couple of years. That's to be determined. But I think this leans me a little bit more to him having a bit of that Jerry Kill role for Virginia Tech. And I think that's really the storyline here in this bowl prep, because nothing else that we've seen is really jarring by any means. I think it is interesting. I think Sean Quinn, he's a guy who has a lot of experience as a defensive play caller. So that one is a pretty obvious. And I think Xavier Adebe, him moving up in a role is pretty obvious. I think he's the kind of guy who you would want to keep on staff along with Cam Phillips on the offensive side of the ball for obvious reasons. So everything they're doing makes sense, but Bud Foster having a headset and vocally being involved during the game is a probably the biggest storyline that we've gotten from this bowl season for the Hokies.
We've seen coaches do this. Like Bob Stoops did this, right?
Bob Stoops, Barry Alvarez.
Barry Alvarez, yes. Yeah. So it's not completely uncommon, but because Bud has been in the offices, maybe it's not as headline grabbing as if Beamer was going to be sitting in the booth. That would be maybe a little bit more.
That would certainly be a headline. Yeah.
But it's cool. And I think based on how things went this year defensively, maybe Chris Marv should have taken some more advice from Bud Foster. I don't know. I mean, he's one of the GOATs when it comes to DC. And I know he's retired from being a DC, but he's not as old as some of the other guys who are still coaching or who have retired. Mm-hmm. Like he's still had more time on the clock. He just chose not to take that time.
Yeah, he's like 8 years younger than Bill Belichick. Like
yeah, I was going to say in 5 years he'll be eligible for the UNC job.
That's good. That's good. So we also got the news Pop is officially the starter. Not that that was so much of a mystery, but he is the starter. Schlee is going to back him up. Drones is not going to factor in dealing with those injuries. Officially, as official as it can be, because these guys were not at practice, again, per Andy Bitter, no Tootin, no Caden Moore, no Jenkins, no Brumfield. Penne and Fuga were, though, Sam. And we talked about that with Billy. That's big for our run defense.
Yeah, it's huge. I think there's your two starting defensive tackles in this game right there. And then you have Gilliam and Laws as your second unit. I think you feel pretty good about the defensive line, even though you're without APR, you're without Peebles. You have depth at that position group. So I think you're feeling pretty good there.
A lot of seniors, a lot of depth, yes. And one last note, Jalen Jones was not dressed out. Reddish and Alves were the ones. And that's, what's Alves' first name? Devin. Haven't seen too much of him. So him being your first string safety is a little alarming. I wish him the best. I'm hoping that he goes out there and does a great job. But yeah, if Jalen Jones doesn't play, that does provide me the little bit more concern, I think. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I think, I'm definitely concerned about that as well. The safety position, Alva's got some good run against Duke, if I remember correctly, but other than that, we haven't seen a ton of them. Thankfully, this Minnesota offense isn't, it's not exactly running the air raid. I almost think with Bud Foster, Minnesota's offense is so antiquated that he's schemed against these types of offenses quite a few times, so that at least
that's a fair point.
Brings me comfort. But
now it's a little bit of a different look Minnesota than there typically are, because Brosmer can pass, but it's still this isn't air raid. This isn't Mike Leach out here,
right?
So you're right with that.
I mean,
think
depth
Blake
is
could.
going to be the biggest concern. I think, especially if you look at those safety positions, obviously, and then the star as well. I think Keontae Jenkins not playing is a pretty huge loss
It is.
because he's been. I mean, besides APR, you could argue that Keontae has been the most valuable player on the defense this season.
Yeah, I love that guy.
And Caleb Spencer is a great, great, great player. But when they put out the 2 deep a couple of days ago, there was no one listed behind him because Gabe Williams is dealing with the injury as well. So, yeah, just nobody get hurt. So
We might need to portal some linebackers, and that is that is going to bring me to my next note from VT Corner, and that is the Matt Moore addition. And Sam and I have already broken this down, but he has brought in some of his guys from West Virginia. We got Tomas Rimac last week. Great addition. Week 1 starter in my mind. So already bolstering the offensive line. And just today, we get who we talked about yesterday, Sam, Kyle Alterner, 4-star in the 2024 class, according to 247. He just spent 1 year with the Mountaineers, and now we're getting that 4-star talent untapped into our program. It's huge, man. These 2 additions, like in some ways, he's already making his money bringing these 2 guys in.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Rimac, his PFF grades, which I know aren't everything, but it's probably the best tool we have to evaluate offensive linemen. He's the best, highest graded offensive lineman for us next year, and a lot higher than Braylon Moore, and I think even Xavier Chaplin. So you have the most established offensive lineman on our team coming in through the portal, and then with Al Turner, in terms of recruiting rankings, he is the highest. He was the highest graded recruit coming out of high school. So
Lath was pretty high, but I think Kyle was higher, right?
He was, yeah. So Lath was like that, like high 3, low 4. Al Turner was more of like a solid 4. So I mean, you're talking about our most established offensive lineman and our most talented, and those were the 2 portal additions. So that's pretty great.
Fantastic. It just occurred to me that Lath is from West Virginia and was considering West Virginia too.
He's from Charleston, yeah.
So you can't say enough about those 2 additions. There are a couple more guys from West Virginia in the portal that are on offensive line. Maybe they will come over too. We do need a couple more bodies there, but just getting these 2 guys alone, like my concern level has decreased greatly. More work to do on the offensive line, but this has just been a massive last week or so from the Virginia Tech program, bringing in Matt Moore and getting these 2 commitments. Do you have any thoughts on Isaiah Cash, Robert? This is the 3rd safety in this portal class, so we've rebuilt that room all the way.
Yeah. I've heard good things. I mean, it seems like a lot of programs really wanted him, which is a good sign. Veteran player, you need that type of good presence that I think they were missing, like with Jalen Stroman being out for the year. You're hoping for that type of a player where he can maybe help shepherd a Quentin Reddish and those younger guys, even a Sherrod Koval who's older but doesn't have like a ton of playing time.
And Robinson coming in.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a great move, and give me all the DBs. They kind of need to rebuild that room. So
we got 10. We got 5 freshmen, if you include Stewie, and 5 transfers coming into the DB room. So 10 new guys. We only have 9 in there. So we're more than doubling our guys this off season. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited about the future of the D block. I think we're in good hands there. Finally, Cameron Seldon from Tennessee is coming over. He was a running back, but the thought process is that he's going to help out at wide receiver. He's a freak of an athlete, highly, highly rated kid in the 2023 class, one of the top recruits in Virginia. Didn't do much at Tennessee, just 224 yards. And then there was the thing of whether he was committed or signed today, Sam. I don't know what was going on with that.
He's in the boat. For everything we've seen, he's in the boat. And I think it's accurate. He's going to be more of a slot wide receiver than a running back. I think that was one of his issues at Tennessee, where he was behind some really good running backs at Tennessee, but also he's kind of an in-betweener. I think for the Virginia Tech offense, you look at something that a guy like Jalen Lane did, that points well. Virginia Tech was in a fight for a wide receiver out of Chattanooga that played that similar position. So this looks to be kind of an upgrade there, certainly in terms of talent. So really good get. Like this is the one that I think could have the most pop to it of all of the transfer signees. The other two ones are offensive linemen, so those are good. Then you have some guys in the back half of the defense, but this is a guy who could rack up a lot of yards in this Virginia Tech offense. So really exciting to get him in the boat.
Yeah, I think he's a needle mover. I think, I think part of the reason why he didn't perform as well at Tennessee was he was learning the running back position. He played wide receiver, and to my understanding is he played wide receiver in high school. You look at his recruiting page, he's listed as a wide receiver. So I think Tennessee was moving him, and so Tech just kind of wants to move him back.
He only had like one catch at Tennessee, so they really were not even toying with it.
No, it was a really, and I mean, Dylan Sampson was ahead of him. So like, you're not going to get that guy off the field. He's almost like a Deebo Samuel type of player to me, like or a Curtis Samuel, I guess. Any of the Samuels, where
he is a big frame. I mean,
he's huge,
almost 6'2",
225.
Yeah, he's big.
So yeah, I mean, whether you're running jet sweeps to him, getting him out in space, he's just one of those players where he's so big and he's so fast. Like, just get him the ball.
And he might drop. I would assume he'll drop a little bit of weight if he's going to be playing wide receiver, maybe just a little bit.
Hopefully, he can be a little more agile. Yeah, that'd be great.
We have 9 wide receivers that are scholarship, and the whole like who's scholarship and who's not is still a little up in the air with the 105. But if we're going by last year and the guys we've just brought in the freshman class, we've got 9 wide receivers if you include Seldon. And I think we could handle one more, but there are other positions of need, and we have a lot of talent at wide receiver that we're probably good with 9, especially if we kind of see us move more towards a running first offense. I still don't know exactly what Bowen's offense in its perfect form is supposed to look like, but I think we're set at wide receiver if we need it to be.
Yeah, I think you need to bring in a linebacker. You need to bring in a tackle. I think if you find something on the defensive line, you might want that. We'll see what Emmett Laws looks like against a good competition here in Minnesota. But there are a few positions of need. And I will remind everybody, yet again, there is a whole nother transfer portal cycle this spring.
No one wants to wait for that.
So I'm just saying.
Instant gratification, please.
A lot of
like our DC. We all want that DC. Do you guys have do you believe, and I've talked about this with Sam. So Rob, do you believe that our current DC is still coaching in meaningful games right now?
I mean, it makes sense. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that for certain, but it would certainly make a ton of sense. Like otherwise I don't know what you're waiting on.
Right.
Either that or no one wants a job, which hope not. I would think the fact that they were able to get Matt Moore makes you think that they're also able to get a viable defensive coordinator candidate. So yeah,
it would
maybe
lead you to believe that. Yes,
maybe it is a co-defensive coordinator for a Big Ten team that happened to play at a different school in the state of Virginia. I don't know.
Maybe it is.
Maybe it is.
Could be.
All right. I think that's just about all I got here, guys. We went over portal. We went over needs roster. Okay. Yeah, we are good there. So let me just remind you that College Football Monday is brought to you by Roback in addition to Jack and Coke. So you can use code 2DVT at roback.com. Get 20% off your order. If you've already used it, use the new email. I just got the Philly Roback. I believe it's called the Jawn, Jawn, a phrase they use in Philadelphia. They have a green version, and they also have like a Phillies color version. It's cool. It's got the Eagle, the Liberty Bell, Ben Franklin, all this stuff. But it's a great shirt. My family is now shopping at Roback. All my brothers got the same shirt. I bought it for one of them. I happened to get it from somebody else, and my sister also got it from my other brother. So now all 3 of us have the exact same shirt, and it is awesome. So use code 2DVT for 20% off your order at Roback. Crave activity.
I actually just got my first Roback shirt finally. For Christmas, I finally I got the Blacksburg game day, the white one with all the different
oh sweet. I love that one.
Scattered Virginia Tech paraphernalia.
It has like the VT fingers on it?
Yeah, it's got the fingers and the helmet, TV.
I got the I got the quarter zip for Christmas. The VT quarter zip.
Oh, nice. Does that have the little Virginias on it?
Nope, it's just got a VT.
Okay, just the VT. Yeah.
Yep.
There's two different quarter zips. I know.
Yeah, it's a great get. Still get it. If you didn't get what you wanted for Christmas, buy it for yourself.
Hell yeah.
Self-love.
FCS championship coming up on 1/6. So not only do we get tomorrow and the 1st, but you will get a championship game, I believe, next Monday at 7 p.m. I'm going with Montana State. I think
The people need touchdown Tommy Mellett on their screen. Throwing to Taco Dowler down the seam.
Give me some taco. All right, that's going to do it for the show. Guys, thank you for being here. Robert, thank you for hopping in and helping us out with these previews. I think we're going to come back next week and recap some of these games, Sam. When is College Football Monday going to end? We've been doing
never.
This is like 17 weeks.
Maybe like early August of 2025, we'll figure that out.
Oh God, man.
Take a week off.
For Christ's sake. It's been fun though. It's been fun. And if you made it to the end of the show, why don't you use word? Do you guys have a safe word for me?
Banana.
It's not original, but I like it. Put banana in the comments if you made it to the end of the show. And until next time, go Hokies.
Go Hokies.